Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I've entitled this the August Chat, and we want to shift focus to preventative maintenance of our health. This month, as you might recall, we looked at 3 conditions at your request that commonly afflict women with devastating ramifications. In August, in South Africa, we celebrate or commemorate women, and we call it Women's Month. My name is Esezan Ambasi, and my co-host and partner in this business that we do together called Near Life is Edward Ambasi. And we have a brand called Simply Healthier, and we've called it Simply Healthier Wellness. So we are on a mission, like everybody in the Near Life family, to help families and individuals to shift focus from sickness to health and wellness. I hope for the guests who are on the call, you will begin to understand what we do in this family. So this month, we discussed 3 conditions, and one of them was arthritis. And I'll go very, very quickly because this is really a recap before we can have a discussion. So osteoarthritis is wear and tear, and rheumatoid arthritis is actually associated with allergic responses to food or infections or autoimmunity. And so those are the differences over there. And arthritis is basically pain in the joints, is inflammation of joints. Now, for the rheumatoid type, common triggers include hormone imbalances, bacterial overgrowth, heavy metals, and therefore toxicity, high blood sugar, and that is one of the topics we actually discussed in the month of August, for those of you who were on the call last week, and other things like infections and allergies. So what I want us to point out is that regular exercise is very, very important. So I've written there that it is mandatory. It is very important for healthy bones, joints, ligaments, and muscles. And that is one of the things that we really promote in this family. The fact that we have to be exercising consistently and regularly. I wanted to remind you of this phenomenon, the ischemia reperfusion phenomenon, where the point of reminding you from last time that we presented it is that a lot of inflammation happens as we move along, and that can result in oxidative stress. But the key here is to understand that there are ways in our lifestyle to mitigate and to combat that oxidative stress. And perhaps for the visitors and for those of you who are new in the family, you will need to understand why we have some of the products that we use and why we emphasize certain aspects of lifestyle, such as the diet as well. So I just wanted to remind you that rather than people rushing off to take painkillers, which might actually add to the toxicity in the joints, one has to look at other things such as exercise, the right kinds of exercise, and the diet. So good muscle strength and tone is vital for managing arthritis and all sorts of other challenges, as we discussed in the weeks that have passed. Now, when we consider the benefits of regular exercise, one of them is the topic that we're going to discuss, which is about weight gain. So weight loss is a benefit. It lowers blood pressure, it strengthens bones and decreases the risk of osteoporosis, which is important. And arthritis is linked to that as well. And then it also rebalances cholesterol. It increases strength and coordination, therefore reducing risks of fall. And one of the topics that you'll see, improved insulin sensitivity. That is very, very important. And of course, the immunity and overall sense of well-being. So in summary, what to consider when we are thinking about arthritis that I have covered in a few minutes is to advise ourselves to limit the causes of bad inflammation. And that goes basically with the diet, what we take into our bodies, and also what we expose our bodies to. And of course, enhance and maintain muscles through mobility and enhance the body's ability to clear scars and oxidative damage by having the right antioxidants on board. So in order to develop resilience, you have to, or we all have to develop a lifestyle, and we have to choose wisely so that we can reduce and eliminate the things that would lead to arthritis. And then we are going to continue in the same vein and talk about prevention. And one condition that was requested, somebody made an observation that many people seem to be getting blood clots in the veins. And it's a condition called thrombophlebitis. We discussed this at length. And when it's broken down, a thrombus is a clot and phlebitis is inflammation inside the veins. And it looks something like that. It can be either superficial, the veins that run just under the skin, or it can be deep, the ones that run between the muscles or into the muscles. And though that one can be actually quite dangerous in that a lot of damage can happen. So a healthy vein should look like this one on the left, where the valves are working properly. You understand that veins have valves. They're not as muscular as the vessels that we call arteries. So what can lead to clot formation is if there is pooling of blood cells and damage to the valves that should be functioning properly. And we did discuss possible causes of that. But it is happening, and it can happen in other places as well, such as in the pelvic veins, and that can be quite serious. So we discussed the possible reasons for that to happen. You can go back and revise that. But there are some early warning signs of a possibility of a blood clot in the veins, such as changes to the skin of the limbs. And these are signs that one should take seriously. Swelling in one limb, pain and tenderness or cramps, red dark streaks, chest pain and heavy breathing, shortness of breath, unexplained cough, vomiting, or chronic headaches. So that was the second topic that we discussed, thrombophlebitis. Then this was a wonderful topic that was co-presented with Dr. Nambasi, my co-host for this evening. And we were discussing lifestyle-induced weight gain and diabetes. And we wanted to discuss the root causes and to address them. Now, it is now understood that the disaster of lifestyle-induced weight gain and diabetes has been brought about by the refusal by all of us in society to distinguish between refined and rapidly absorbed carbohydrates that actually increase insulin production in our bodies, and complex carbohydrates that do not. So we need to know the difference. It is very, very important, and Dr. Nambasi educated us quite a lot last week. So all I want you to remember, just so that you can connect the dots, are three key hormones. But having said that, I want you to remember that there are many hormones in our bodies, and they are all interlinked. They work together in synergy, and they should be working together well. But if there is an imbalance, then it will have a knock-on effect. I call it the domino effect on all the hormones in the body. So the three to remember that are important in our discussion are insulin, which I will describe just now, cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and estrogen, which causes tissues to grow. Estrogen is predominantly a female hormone, but it causes tissues to grow. So the importance of maintaining hormonal balance includes the knowledge that insulin is the fat storage hormone. It facilitates the entry of nutrients into the cells and also to store fat. If there is insulin resistance, which is a very common condition, or if it frequently rises, in other words, insulin is caused to frequently rise beyond normal because of overeating, it will be almost impossible to lose weight. So again, I urge you to listen to last week's presentation about that. But insulin resistance per se has a knock-on effect on so many conditions and how our health turns out. And as you can see them over there, we have, okay, let's start here. Obesity, neuropathy, that is painful nerves, Alzheimer's and other dementias, migraine headaches, heart disease, high blood pressure, fatty liver disease, which is a very common condition, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is now called, it has another long acronym, oh my God, polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome, PEMOS. And then, of course, type 2 diabetes. So we're talking about that big hormone called insulin and how through lifestyle modification and a decision to manage your lifestyle, you can actually influence it and influence our overall health and several conditions as a result. So what we are saying, lifestyle, what you eat in your diet, how you rest and sleep, the exercise you do, stress management, and crucially, supplementation that I will describe later on, are all our responsibility, and they impact on our health quite directly and dramatically. So this was my invitation today. This was the flyer I used, that in order to succeed, it begins with some effort. It isn't just a quick fix, okay? And our minds are full of possibilities, absolutely full of possibilities, and we have to keep learning and we need to keep growing. So it's time to have a chat, all of us. I told you last week that that's what we were going to do today. So I want to hear some testimonies, some questions and answers from your experiences, as we all can learn from each other. And for the guests, just to remind you that we are a family on a mission to make the world healthier and free of financial stress. So you are welcome to discuss. I'm going to stop sharing and let us have a good discussion.